Let's practice interview. So, what are you gonna ask me? Firstly, so basic question, basic. For example, I would I would be asked a question like, what? Wait, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Sure. So I'm gonna answer it. Um, I'm Wow Wow. I'm I'm a grad school at. I'm a grad student. I'm a grad student at university in Japan. Um, majoring in information technology. Majoring in information technology. And now I'm taking a leave of absence. At university, I generally learned algorithms, securities, databases, networks, and so mathematics and so on. But I spent the most of the time on game development and competitive programming. Um, speaking of game development, I mm, mm, regarding game development, regarding game development, uh, I created lots of games, such as lots of games. Um, one of which uses AI, one of which uses um, one of which uses AI, one of which one of which one of which I created a lot of game. I created a lot of games, one of which uses AI. In one of which hmm, um one of which uses AI to create right, and one of which uses reinforcement learning to create AI agents, AI AI enemy AI enemies, and one of which uses um wait. I should talk about like one of which is AI tag game, 3D AI tag game, and is um one of which is one of which requires your body to move. Wait. I need to summarize the thing. Summarize the explanation into one or two words in order to make it short. So, one of which one of which is 3D AI tag games, 3D AI tag game, and one of which is hands-free mm, hands-free shooting games, hands-free shooting game, and one of which mm, and one of which we created to join a competitive contest. To join a game development contest where we got the Grand Prix. And speaking of, okay, so let me repeat it. So I spent most of the time. I spent the most of the time on game development and competitive programming. Speaking of game development, speaking of game development, speaking of game development, I created a lot of um I team based. Mm, mm, wait. So team-based um team-based game development. Mm, we succeeded in agile development. We succeeded in agile development. We succeeded in agile development. So one of which is AI tag game. I where I created the AI, where I used reinforcement learning to make it, and one of which is AI tag game, one of which is AI tag game, where I used reinforcement learning to make the AI reinforcement to make the AI enemies, and one of which is one of which is hands-free shooting game, where we succeeded in um we managed to do agile development, and one of which is and one of which we created to join the contest, game development contest, and we've got the Grand Prix. So, and regarding competitive programming, and if you are interested, I can explain it later. I can explain it anytime if you ask. I'm ready to ask. I'm ready to I'm ready to explain everything. I'm ready to explain the details. I'm ready to explain the details. So, uh, please ask me later or in time. And regarding the competitive programming, uh, I used to join at Coder, which is just like a top coder, game competitive programming contest website in my rank on @coder, my rank on @coder is sky blue, which indicates that the level of my knowledge is that higher than that most wait higher than the level that most IT companies typically look for. So have you ever heard of ICPC? This stands for International Collegiate Programming Contest. This is the famous, how famous it is, I don't know. So college student gathered together in where, I don't know. ICPC is the one of the biggest I think one of the most famous competitive competitive one of the famous competitive programming contests, an offline contest, one of the most famous offline contests in the world, in the world. And we got through the selection stage. I mean, preliminaries, qualifying stage. We got through the qualifying stage and went to the and we got through the qualifying stage. And please don't ask me about the final. Anyways, so and also I during college during and also it overlaps grad school. What am I gonna talk? Um, I worked for and also I worked for several companies. Several companies. How many is it? Several. How many it is when you say several? More than two, but not a lot. So it's not two. You say some companies. More than one, okay. So I worked for some companies. I worked for some companies. I worked for some companies. This all overlaps the grad school time, grad school days, grad school years, grad school. It overlaps the first year of grad school. First year of it overlaps the first year of grad school, and firstly, I worked for startup company as a full stack engineer. Firstly, joined that I started to work for that company as a backend engineer, and I wrote some Python codes to I wrote some Python codes to execute scraping, and this kind of and those codes are hmm, and those programs uh, collect the information of collect the information of Japanese companies from the internet. Hmm, scrape. Hmm. But once I worked, but once coworkers found that I'm a diligent worker. They told me to, they asked me to, they asked me if I could work as a front engineer as well, but I couldn't because but I didn't have any knowledge about front end side, front end side. So there were few workers. There were few workers then, and they needed front end engineer. But so they asked me if I could work as a front engineer, but I couldn't. But I didn't have any knowledge about it. Negligent. Negligent. Neg negligent.
Negligent.
No, that's not negligent. Ignorant. Ignorant, lacking knowledge, awareness in general, and good educated, unsophisticated. I was ignorant of front end side knowledge. I didn't have any knowledge about front end, so but I wanted to help them, so I told them like give me a week, give me 1 week, give me just 1 week, and I'm gonna learn it, and just do it as a trial without payment. Then I worked for them a couple of weeks. I started working as a front engineer and I did it a couple of weeks and they found that my coding is they found that my coding was um, careful and precise and careful. Precise. Exactness and accuracy, expression, detail, careful and precise and like explainable. Well explained. So like kind of accepted me. They accepted me. So that is the start. That is the starting point of my front end engineering, and eventually ev eventually I went to I've moved on to the and something and eventually I came to work as a official backend engineer. I mean, kind of official, not unofficial. So wait, so eventually I came to begin. Eventually I began to work as a. Eventually I was permitted to permitted permitted to edit, and eventually I was permitted to edit AWS things and pro developed something developed things developed Lambda developed the application on Lambda AWS Lambda and EC2, and I learned Docker to I mean spread the area way. So increase the number of increase the number of instance, increase the number of the instances, increase the number of instances that scrapes the information, collect the information that execute my scraping code, the Python code that scrapes the information from the internet. Wait. So firstly, should I take notes? Yeah, that's right. I should. So, I'm a grad student at blah blah university. Yada yada. Blah 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 blah. Yada yada yada. Represent boring, monotonous, or non-sensual speech that has speaker isn't paying attention to. So blah blah blah. Okay, yada yada yada. It's and so on. Skip over details in a story. Okay. Yada 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 is and so on. Blah 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 is. Hmm. Okay, so I'm a grad student at University in Japan, majoring in information technology, and I'm now I'm currently taking a leave of absence. At university. I generally learned algorithms, databases, network securities, and mathematics, and so on. But actually, I spent a lot of time on game development and competitive programming. Speaking of game development, I created a lot of games in a team-based development. Wait, a lot of I created lots of games with different team members. One of which uh one of which is one of which is AI tag game where I created AI with reinforcement learnings, and and one of which is a hands-free shooting game where we managed to um adopt adopt we managed to adopt agile development agile development process development process, and one of which we created to join the game development contest where we got the Grand Prix, So, and speaking of and regarding and with regard to in regard with in regard in regard to with regard to with regard to concerning with regard to in regard to so concerning regarding and concerning um competitive programming, I used to join AppCoder, which is just like a top coder, and one of the most famous contest website in Japan. And my rank on AppCoder is Sky Blue, which indicates that the level of my knowledge is higher than the most IT companies. Wait, higher than that. The level of my knowledge is higher than the level that most IT companies typically look for, and and also I got through the qualifying stage of ICPC. qualifying stage of ICPC. So this is my algorithm experiences. This is my experiences that shows my algorithm now, my competent algorithm knowledge. And also, I worked for several company. I worked for some companies, and it overlaps grad school days. It overlaps the first grade of grad school, and firstly I worked for a startup company when I was startup company for I think more than 1 year. And first wait full stack developer using Next.js and AWS Lambda, Next.js TypeScript, Next.js wait using Next.js and AWS, of course GitHub and Docker. Hmm. In the beginning, I started to work as the backend engineer, and I wrote some Python codes to that Python codes for scraping information from the internet. Scraping correct scraping information scraping information of Japanese companies from the internet. Scraping information of Japanese companies. Scrape. Copy data from a website. Okay. Scraping information of Japanese companies. Um, but since there were few workers, few engineers, since there were few engineers in that company, I was asked if I could do front end side. Actually, I couldn't, but I really wanted to help them, so I told them that give I told them give me a week, and I'm gonna learn the basic things. And after that, and after the week passes, I'm gonna I'm gonna work for I'm gonna work as a front engineer as a trial without payment, and they accepted. Accepted it. Accepted it. So I started working as a front engineer, and after several weeks, they admitted that I'm at I worked. They they admitted they admitted mm, they recognized they recognized my working mm, the way I work. They admitted way they recognized having encountered them before. Acknowledge the existence. Okay, acknowledge the existence. They recognized how diligent I was. How diligent I was. They recognized how diligent I was. Um, Good story. I want to make a good story. So, after several weeks, after several weeks passed, after several weeks passed, they recognized how diligent I was, how diligent I was, and they admitted I started I officially started working as a front engineer, and and eventually I was permitted to I was permitted to I was given permission. I was permitted to I was permitted to do AWS job, AWS Lambda, AWS EC2, AWS Lambda and EC2 and databases and so on. So so that is why I can, and of course database side, I can use MySQL, and I created some pages such as news pages that that is so detailed. So, and I also work after talking about game development and programming, competitive programming. I'm gonna talk like also I worked for some companies, one of which I worked some company, one of which I worked for some companies, one of which I worked for startup company as a full stack engineer using Next.js and AWS, and one of which I worked as a firstly as a salesman, but eventually I started to automate sales, automate tasks in sales department, and if I sales de in a sales department, but eventually collaborate the ID department to develop some automating application. Some applications automating the tasks in sales department. Automating the tasks in sales department. Automating the tasks in sales department, which takes a lot of time, which took a lot of time. So it's good. It's great. So this is the whole summarization, right? So what have you done? So tell me about the detail of. So firstly, game development. Initially, and what else? What else? Firstly, synonym. Num. Synonym. Firstly, initially, where's, oh, we don't have initially. Principally, in essence, essentially, particularly. Okay. First of all, first and foremost, what is foremost? Most prominent in rank, foremost, importance, or position. So, um, firstly, tell me the detail. Could you tell me the detail of game development? What did you make? Yes. Firstly, I want to talk about the game development experience that I mostly love, that I love the most, that I love the most, that I love the best, that I love the most. What should I talk about? What is most impressive? Oh, I think so, but Let me see. I think it takes time to find it. Sorry, I'm gonna prepare for it. So let me show you later. I think it's not detailed though. I think it's not detailed though. So let me talk about the game development experience. Firstly, I want to talk about the hands-free development, which we managed to success in every detail, in every aspect. We did. We managed to do. We managed to adopt. We managed to adopt agile development system, agile development cycle, development cycle. Um, the whole game concept is hands-free, and we created a 3D auto stereoscopic game. We created auto stereoscopic game. Auto stereoscopic. We created the game. Played on. We created the game played on auto stereoscopic displays that are which are basically displays that do not require any glasses at all. 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 So we created a game played on displays, played on all the stereoscopic displays, which are basically which are basically displays that do not require any glasses at all. And I love the game rule. I love the rule of the game. I love the rule of the game I came up with that I came up with that I came up with. I love the game. I love the rule of the game that I come up with that I came up with and refined that I came up with that I firstly I came up with and refined many times by fitting I love the rule of the game. I came up with it. I came up with it. I love the rule of the game. Let me explain it. I love the rule of the game, so let me explain it. Firstly, firstly there appears there appear there appears there appears there appear enemies appear on the display. Okay, enemies. Firstly, enemies appear on the displays, and you have a reticle on the display, and you move your reticle you move your reticle and move you move your reticle and aim at enemy by moving your shoulders, changing the angle of your shoulder. And once you stop and lock on, uh You make a sound. You speak a word. Once you stop and lock on, you speak a word. You speak a word that appears as a. You speak a words that will appear as a physical object. That appears as a physical object, just like a rocket. Physical objects, just like a rocket. And the word you say, must fill. The word you say must fill two conditions. Must fill conditions. The word must fill conditions. Meet, satisfy, fulfill. Got it? Meet two conditions. Meet. The word you say must meet two conditions. Must satisfy. Must fulfill two conditions. Must meet two conditions. Fulfill, satisfy two conditions. Okay, meet conditions, satisfy conditions, fulfill conditions. So the word you say must fulfill two conditions. Must fulfill the two conditions. Must fulfill the two conditions. First, the length. The first character must be the first character. The first character must be the word. Must be the first character. The initial character. The initial character must be the one written on the top left, written on the top left of the display. I'm gonna show you the video. I'm gonna show you the video. So I think I should create PowerPoint later. It's not now though. So, the word you say must fulfill the two conditions. Firstly, the initial character must be the one on the top left, top middle, bottom left. On the top left of on the top left of the display. On the top left of the display. And secondly, the length of the word must be the number. The length of the number, the length of the word must be the number written on the enemy you are attacking. Written on the enemy you are trying to attack. Written on the enemy you are trying to attack. That is so hard. It is. I think it is harder. I think it's gonna be harder if it's in English, but most Japanese people this is a Japanese game, and Japanese language is easily counted. Japanese language, Japanese word, the length of the Japanese word is easily counted. So the length of Japanese words, the length of a Japanese word is easily counted. So this is game 4. I think this might be adapted. This might be translated into English, but I think Japanese language is future. I think I use the feature of Japanese language. So I talked about it a lot. So next, let's move on to the next one. What is that? So Bdash. So let me talk about Bdash, which is 3D AI tag game. I created the AI tagger. Have you ever heard of AI have you ever heard of tag game? This is played by children outside. Firstly, there's one tagger, I think. There is one or more taggers who chases other players. Who chase one or more taggers. There are one or more taggers in the game who chase the other players and try to catch the other players. And if they catch them, if they catch them, then I don't know. I'm not sure all the rules are. I'm not sure if there's a local rule, but generally I think the touched person, the person who is touched, the person who is touched turns to be turns into the person who is touched turns into the new tagger, and tagger turns into the natural general person escaper. So tagger who touched them. That tagger who touched them turns into a person. Turns into a chaser. No, escaper. Turns into an escaper. This is a tag game, and we created 3D AI tag game where the tagger who chase people is AI created by using reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning. I did it. I did reinforcement learning, and actually, I was really bad at managerial things. So I think I made. I think was in charge of. I was in charge of. I think I was in charge of 80% of this game. 80% of this game development. So this was a really tough part of my life. Really tough experience for me. But I learned a lot from it. I learned from it. I learned a lot from this experience. Um, this will work. So this experience works. This experience will work in other experiences later. Um, so what did I do? So I took charge of creating AI and the main program I think which I shouldn't. The main game process. What did I write? What did I write? So what is that? Hmm. Copy link. So I was responsible for the main programming, including, yeah. So I was in charge of the create AI development and also the main programming, including player controls and overall game progression. Progression? Really? What? Game progression. That measures provides a sense of player advancement and growth within a video game through the way mechanics. Okay, game progression. So in charge of I was in charge of the AI development and also the main programming, including um, player controls and the main game progression. an overall game progression. Overall, taking everything into account. So, who's gonna be my friend? Oh, thank you. It's always a man. I like I like them. Thank you so much. I should be um I should be friend with a lot of people because as big my the bigger my network is, um the truthful I would look. The truthful, credible, yeah. The more credible I look, the more credible I look. I think so. So what's gonna be next? What am I supposed to do? So, so let me explain the game development contest. Let me take a rest. I'm so tired. Hey, let's resume speaking practice, but I feel like I get easily tired when speaking English, like continuously. So, but it's gonna work. I think it works. And the more I spend time, I like this grammar. I like this grammar. The more I do something, the more it's like becoming something. So the more I spend time on speaking, the more sophisticated I I'm gonna be. The more fluent I'm gonna be. I become, I get. The more fluent I get, the more fluent I become. The more fluent I become. The more time, the more I practice speaking, the more I practice speaking, the more fluent I become in English. So let's practice something. What did I talk about? When did I stop? Where did I stop? I talked about 3 games. I think 2 games. So let's talk about the final game. That is, I participated in the game development contest. The concept of the event was creating a brainstorming brain training game for the elderly. So the concept of the event was to create brain training game for the elderly, and I took charge of the whole concept of the game because I really wanted to do managerial things. I wanted to polish my skill of management. So I took charge of the whole concept of the game and a little tasks and small tasks such as create the whole concept of the game, and I wanted to make the atmosphere as I wanted to, as I wanted to be, as I wanted it to be, as I wanted to be. So I created some atmosphere by producing characters and so on, something yada yada yada. So let me talk about the detail. Um, there were official judges in the event, but the voters were mm, mm, the most mm, the most um glory significance of the experience. So the significance of this experience the significance of this experience is my direction about the concept of the game. There were official judges in this event, but the voters which decide the winners, the winner, the voters which will decide the winner is not only the was were not only the official judges, but also families or families or even pedestrians could be the voters. So we needed to we needed to create a game, of course for elderly, but also we needed to create wait. So we needed to direct we needed to decide the target except for wait. We needed to decide the target. Of course elderly, and what else? I didn't I was not sure firstly. I was not sure, but before the beginning of before the before the what before advent before the advent of development before the advent of development. I searched for I analyzed the I analyzed the I analyzed the previous event. I decided to analyze the previous event, and I found out that the most voters were families, and they brought children. They brought children. The most voters were families, and they brought children. Therefore, I thought, I guessed, I assumed. Therefore, I assumed that if we target, if we target, if we target, so I assumed that if we target children and those children vote for us, why not their parents? So which so this is this was my scheme. This was my strategy. Why not parents? So this is my strategy. I directed my teammates to create a game, of course for elderly, but also for children, So let me see. Let me continue. Continue with his job. Continue. Proceed with something. Proceed with something. Proceed somewhere. Proceed with something. Continue with something. So let me continue with this topic. Continue with this topic. Continue with this topic. So so let me explain the detail. There were official judges in this event, but the voters who decide the winner were not only official judges, but also families or even pedestrians could be the voters. Therefore, we needed to target, of course, elderly, but what else? I was not sure. But what else? I was not sure. I was not sure then. So I began to analyze the previous event. So I began to analyze the previous event and found out that the most voters were families. Anyone could be the okay, so let me refine the sentence. So there were official judges in the event, but also the voters who decide the winner were not only the official judges, but also anyone could be. Anyone, even a pedestrian, could be the voters. Even pedestrian could be the voters. Even the pedestrian passing by could be the voters. Therefore, we needed to target, of course, elderly, but what else? I was not sure. Who else? We needed to target, of course, elderly, but who else? I was not sure. So I began to analyze the previous event and found out that the most voters were families, and they brought children. So I assumed, then I guessed, families, then I guessed if a child, if a child liked our game, if a child says, I like this game, then why not their parents? Why not their parents? So my strategy was this. I directed my teammates. My strategy is, so I decided, so I determined, establish, determine certain, or establish exactly. So I determine what is true. Specify the form. So I determine the strategy. I directed my teammates to create a game, of course for elderly, but also for children. And eventually, I skipped the I skipped what happened in the event, but eventually we've got the Grand Prix. We've got the Grand Prix, and official judges told us that they love the strategy. They love the strategy because we um explained that this game is for everyone. This this game is enjoyable for everyone. This game is enjoyable for everyone. Of course, their parents, if of course parents enjoy this game, they told me. So this was successful and yeah, earned $1 million, 1 million yen, which was a big deal for a university student. Yeah, okay, so let me finish. So, and speaking of talking about next one, the next one should be startup experience. Okay, so let me talk about the research, research that I did on the research what I that I did for graduating from university, undergrad school, undergraduate for bachelor degree. So let me talk about the research I did. Let me talk about the research that I did for bachelor's degree. My research is the interpolation of the pixel in a surgical image, where the interpolation of pixels in a surgical image, where where light reflection appears, where light reflections appear, where light reflection appears. Interpolation of pixels in a surgical image where light reflection appears. That is crazy. That is crazy good. Genuinely good. So let me refine the sentence. My research at university was interpolating the pixels. Oh, I wrote just the same as I wrote this. I wrote the sentence. I wrote the scripts. It should be scripts. I wrote the scripts just as exactly the same as what I said. So interpolation is my research. Um, what should I talk about? Hmm. I successfully did it. I successfully did it. Did it. Uh, I managed to interpolate natural interpolation. I managed to create, produce, generate. No, I managed to develop natural interpolation. I managed to create managed to create explainable, natural and explainable method to interpolate these pixels. Natural and explainable. Natural and explainable. The aim, of course, these days, of course, recently we can interpolate pixels by using generative AI. Generative AI. Generative AI. But we wanted to create, but I wanted to create a natural and explainable AI. So this is my process. This is in the middle of my process, in the middle of my progress, 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 in the middle of progress. Forward, onward movement toward a destination. Okay. So this is in the middle of progress. In the middle of progress. In the middle of my progress. Understandable but not natural. In the middle of my work. Middle of my progress on it. It was in the middle of my work. In the middle of my whole work. I want to explain that I am in the middle, halfway. Succeed, success, success.
Success.
Success, succeed, success, success, success. I'm halfway to my goal. So my goal is to create explainable AI that interpolates such pixels. My goal is to create, develop an AI that's an explainable AI because, for example, if generative AI didn't understand, because we cannot explain what generative AI does, what a generative AI does during, for example, regarding one pixel that is light reflection, that shows light reflection, then if generative AI this pixel, of course, sees the pixels are on it and sees this pixel and recognize that it is a light reflection and change the color into like lower the brightness, change the color and lower the brightness. Brightness. Reflecting light brightness. So change if the generative AI found recognize that this pixel is light reflection. This pixel shows light reflection and change the color and lower the brightness. then why did you the question is, why did you make the change? Why did you choose the color? The question is, why did you choose the color? Why did you choose the pixel, and why did you choose the pixel, and why did you choose the color? Why did you choose the pixel, and why did you choose the pixel, and why did you choose the new color? Why did you choose the pixel, and why did you choose the new color? Choose the new color. So it cannot be explained. It cannot be exactly explained. But as for my goals explainable AI, um, that can explain it because we have algorithm. We have algorithm that is also explainable, that um that controls, that has the border, of what is light reflection, and where to what is oh but as for my program, as for my goal of as for my goals explainable AI, as speak but regarding as for my as for what is as for then as for with regard to okay as for my goals explainable AI, it can explain um what is happening, because it can explain what is happening then, because we have the border. We have the border of what is light reflection and what is not light reflection. That says we have the border. We have the border that says what is light reflection and what is not. What is light reflection and what is not. And of course, that when choosing a color, choosing the new color, we have the border. We have the reason why. We have the reason why we choose the color. We have the reason why we choose the color. Why we choose the new color used to interpolate that pixel. Perfect. So let me finish talking about maybe not. I'm not explaining everything. So my research at university was interpolating the pixels of a surgical image where light reflection appear. Okay. This is a collaborative.
Collaborative.
Produce or conduce it. Wait. Joint project.
Joint.
Joint, shared, held, or made by two or more people, parties, or organizations together. Joint statement. So this is a joint product. This is a joint product. I took the part of I did the work of interpolating, and another student did the research for finding the reflection, finding the light reflection, finding the light reflection, finding the light reflection. Okay, and whatever, what else I'm gonna talk about? Am I gonna whatever? What else am I gonna talk? Am I gonna talking about? What else am I gonna talk? What else am I gonna What else am I gonna talking about? Another and fill the pixel with template. Yeah, and I use template matching. Template matching uses vectors. Template matching considering colors as vectors. Template matching So we find a similar window. We prepare two windows. First one, scan the image side to side, from side to side, and it goes down. It gradually goes down and find a place where light reflection appears. Where light reflection appears. Then the second, then we move the second window from side to side and find and we calculate the similarity, proximity, proximity. We calculate. We calculate the similarity between two windows for we calculate the similarity between two windows, and when we find the most similar window, we start to interpolate the pixel. We interpolate the pixel. We interpolate the pixel by using the pixel at the same position in the window, in the windows, at the same position in the windows, at the same position in the windows, in the both windows, at the same position at the same position in the both windows, at the same position in the both windows. At the same position in the both windows. So what? Then what? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna explain? What else? I'm tired. Am I tired? I don't know. So, in my first year of graduate school, I was developing an application which enables you to watch videos of 3D surgical operation. I don't think I should explain it this time. Yeah. So this was my research experience. And medical what? Medical 비호고학. Medical engineering. Biomedical engineering. Biomedical engineering. Or medical engineering is the application of engineering principles and design application. Make a formal application request. Request to an authority for something. The action of putting something into operation. Putting something into operation application. Put oneself forward. Apply. Apply. Applied for a number of positions. Put into operation, and this is what I'm talking about. The oil industry has failed to apply appropriate standards of care. Apply what? Standards of care. Bring or put into operation, practical use. Apply appropriate standards of care. Application of engineering principles and design concepts to medicine and biology for healthcare applications. BME, biomedical engineering. is the application of engineering principles and design concepts to medicine and biology. Medicine and biology. So this is an application of the design of engineering. Application of engineering. Application of engineering to medicine and biology. Got it. Well, so this is biomedical engineering. Biomedical engineering. Application of engineering principle to medicine and biology. Biomedical engineering. My research is around biomedical engineering. This is application of engineering principles to medicine and biology. My research at university was interpolating the pixels of surgical image where light reflection appears. The reason why I started this project, the reason why I started this research is we wanted to. There was a big, huge project in my laboratory. There was a huge project, long time, lifetime, lifetime. Long time, having had a specified role identified for a long time. Long time friend. Long time. The reason why I started this project, the reason why I started this research is that is that there's a huge project. There's a huge project around biomedical engineering in my lab. There is a huge project. There's a huge project around it. There's a huge project around it in my lab. In my lab. There's a huge project in my lab, and we wanted to create natural and explainable AI. We wanted to create a natural, we wanted to create the explainable AI. Explainable AI that makes the image easy to see. There a huge project in my lab, and we wanted to create an explainable AI which makes enables us to develop. There's a huge project in my lab, and we wanted to create an explainable AI which enables us to develop clear sight. Create an explainable AI which enable us to develop. My research at university was interpolating the pixels of a surgical image where light reflection appear. The reason why I started this research is there's a huge project in my lab around this topic, around this subject. And in that project, we wanted to create explainable AI that we wanted to create an explainable AI that makes clear image. I mean, a surgical image that is easy to see in order to learn it when learning it. When learn medical terms and when learning medical terms by using the image, natural and explainable. And of course, we can create it by using generative AI that is natural, that can naturally interpolate the pixels, but it is not explainable as it is not as explainable as what I'm creating, what I was creating, what I was developing, what we've been developing, because uh 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 uh, uh. so so my research is biomedical. My research is on biomedical engineering. My research is on biomedical research, biomedical engineering, biomedical engineering. My research is on biomedical engineering, biomedical engineering. My research is on biomedical engineering. My re my research is around medical engineering. Um, this is interpolation. My research at university. My research at university was biomedical engineering, which is interpolating the pixels, which involves biomedical engineering thing, which is my research at university was my research at university was biomedical engineering thing, which is interpolating the pixels in a surgical image, where light reflection appears, where light reflections appear. The reason why I started this subject, this research, I chose the subject. The reason why I chose the subject was because there's a huge project in my lab. that supports the biomedical field. Biomedical field. Surgeons that supports huge lab, huge. There is a huge project. Yes, we collaborate with another universities, professors, and sometimes we meet together. They create hardwares, and we create softwares. It's in the middle of the, yeah, it's a halfway. Halfway. It's in a halfway. It's halfway. We're halfway. We are halfway. So, biomedical engineering. There's a huge project in my lab, which supports doctors or surgeries, surgeons, surgeons, which supports surgeons or students who wants to be surgeons to learn like terms or to learn surgery or review surgery by watching the picture or video, watching pictures, videos, but actually the the picture the picture but actually they're not easy to see sometimes because there are a lot of light reflections in that image. So the main reason is that the main reason this is the main reason so this is the main reason this is the main reason so it is the main reason it is the base for my choice. This is the main it is the main reason for my choice. It is the main reason. And my research, yes. Um this is a collaborative research because I inter before I interpolate the pixels, another student made a create a developed a program that find out where is the light reflection. Where are light reflections? So before I interpolate the pixels, another student find um another student find the pix another student find the pixels. Another student developed the program that find the pixels. Another student developed the program that finds that finds the pixels, that finds the pixels, that finds that pixel, that finds the pixels. Another student developed the program that finds the pixels. So this is collaborative thing, collaborative research. And I use template matching. I can explain it if you want. And this is it. This is all about my research. And this should be long, so this is all my this is all for my this is all for this research topic. And speaking of qualification, I passed applied information technology examination, engineering examination, which requires both broad and deep knowledge in IT fields. In the IT field, in the IT field, in the IT field, in the IT field. So I learned a lot. I studied a lot. I studied a lot around SQL, databases, securities, networks, algorithms, and system development, I think. System development. So that is enough, right? So ask me question. Ask myself questions. Wait. So, for example, what are you gonna be curious about? Mm, so, why did you decide to take a leave of absence? That is because, this is because, I actually tried to stop doing engineering things. Like, um, the reason why I worked for a non-IT company as a salesman was because I tried to change my career to a non-engineering field. But actually, um, as doing collaborative things, but as working in that company and collaborate with IT sections, IT departments to create some applications, I recalled the fun. I recalled how fun it is to develop applications and do an engineering things. So it reminded me of how I like it, how I love it, how how significantly I love it. How significantly I love it. So this is why I restarted to mm, so and the and taking a leave of absence is free. I don't pay anything. So that is why so I can rethink mm, assurance. Mm. And taking a leave of absence costs free. Um, and I can do it twice. I mean, 2 years. Therefore, um, I'm not decisive. Actually, my shortage is not being decisive, so I can go back to university. I can go back to grad school. So 2 years later, I'm going back, which I which I try not to. So yeah. So because I didn't have any enough experiences. What should I do? What should I say? What should I explain? So, what what programming language do you use? I mainly use TypeScript and wait, the um the proportion of them in my life. Um, the C plus plus is the highest. C plus plus occupies the most because I use it in a competitive programming, and I use C sharp a lot when creating Unity, and I use Next.js programming language. As for programming language, JavaScript and TypeScript used in Next.js, and Python in scraping codes. Of course, also application in non-IT company, and also Python in a non-IT company. And also I used Python in non-IT company to make applications. And C, and C language. You can refer to the language. And C programming language. And the language C. And C language. And also C language to create that program for research. So, and I know a lot Java. Of course, it's the HTML is not programming language. That is Markin. What is that? What is that? Hypertext language. Hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language. And what is CSS? Styling language. CSS. Oh, style sheet language. Hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language, and CSS is style sheet language. So this is it. And around technology, I can use AWS, Lambda, and EC2, and DynamoDB, and well, and something else. And I can use MySQL. I can use MySQL and PostgreSQL. MySQL and PostgreSQL. I use MySQL for developing application. I use MySQL a lot for developing application development, for application development. I use a lot. I used it a lot. I often used it. I frequently use MySQL in application development. I frequently use MySQL in application development. And also, what else? Next.js, React, TypeScript, JavaScript, GitHub, of course, GitHub, and Docker. I use Docker to increase the number of instances, the number of students that I use Docker to increase the number of instances that scrapes the information of Japanese companies. So, then I use EC2 and Docker, and also I can use GitHub, and of course when I develop something solely, I don't say that. I don't need to say that because they get to like they would begin to wanna they come to wanna see my GitHub.